Perfect. All right. Hello, and thank you everyone for joining our soft launch for the 2022 program series, Living Well Wednesday. My name is Myrna Benia, and I'm the Community Health and Wellness Agent in the Chisholm Trail District. So we are really glad to have you today. Our Living Well Wednesday is actually a virtual learning series hosted by K-State Research and Extension, family consumer science professionals from across the state of Kansas. So many of our topics will touch on a variety of essential skills that help you and your family to live, work, and thrive. So before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping rules. Please be respectful and open to others throughout the presentation, and feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box and comments into the chat box. The Q&A box does have a feature where you can ask anonymously. So if you are more comfortable with that, please, you're more than welcome to use that feature. Our monitors are agents Jennifer LaSalle and Melody Garcia, and they will actually go over the questions at the end of the presentation. And today's session will be recorded and posted on our Living Well Wednesday webpage, along with the additional resources that Joella and Tristan have for us. So you will be able to find all future and past programs on our website as well. And the link for our website is on the slide, as you can see. And lastly, just a friendly reminder, our Living Well Wednesday full series will begin in January of 2022. We will present a new topic every second and fourth Wednesday in January, February, and March over the lunch hour. So please be on the lookout for more information. And we do want to acknowledge that KSRE is an equal opportunity employer, so therefore we do not discriminate against anyone. So if there is a special request or concern that you need to allow you to attend our programs, please feel free to reach out to us so that way we can make the right accommodations for you. And Tristan, if you want to go on to the next one. So I will go ahead and present for our presenters. We want to thank our presenters for joining us today. Tristan Cope is the Family and Child Development Agent in the Chisholm Trail District, and Joellen Argabright is the Family Consumer Science Specialist in the Northwest region. And with that, I will turn that over to both of you.
Thank you so much, Myrna. Welcome to our Living Well Wednesday series, Stress Less, Connect, and Communicate Through the Holidays. Tristan, if you want to go to the next. We have a couple of objectives today. We're hoping that we will all learn about a variety of methods for connecting with our families, both near and far. We're hoping to help identify ways to create inclusive environments this holiday season for family members of all ages. And we're hoping to provide some tools for managing family dynamics. Do we have a poll? I don't have a way. There we go. Okay, if everyone would just take a moment and go ahead and complete that poll.
And Joe, just let me know when you want me to end the poll.
Okay, looks like we're getting a few coming in. We're about half done. We'll give it just another moment. Okay, go ahead and end that poll, Rachel. Thank you so much. We can publish that. Perfect. So we had a bit of mixed results, but which of the 3 A's do resilient people, or those who come through difficult situations, stronger because of the experience commonly practiced? And we did have some different options. We will be talking about these throughout the presentation towards the end of my segment as well. We are looking at acceptance of the circumstances, attending to how you spend your time and energy, and then assessing your thoughts and actions regularly. So thank you so much for launching that, Rachel. I apologize, I didn't share those, did I? Tristan, if you want to go on to the next slide, please. There we go. Okay, I want to start off and talk a little bit about communicating with family. We know that family dynamics can be difficult, particularly during the holiday season. So thank you everyone for joining us for a deeper dive into communicating effectively with family members to help reduce stress, create inclusive environment, and make the most of this holiday season. In today's world, families are experiencing pressures like never before. The pandemic has forced us apart and continues to pose challenges related to travel, comfort with gatherings, and inclusion of family members across the lifespan. It's important for families to clearly communicate their expectations as they go into the holiday season, understanding that family members may have differences in opinion on how to handle personal preferences during gatherings this year. However, your family chooses to celebrate, it's important to plan ahead, provide space for everyone's expectations to be heard, and to take into consideration some non-traditional modes of communication to help celebrate this year. Tristan, would you like to go to the next slide? A recent survey from the American Association of Retired Persons, AARP, found that 31% of respondents say they have felt lonely during the holiday season sometime during the past 5 years, and 41% have worried about a family member or friend feeling lonesome. COVID has been particularly challenging for many aging adults and continues to be a major factor in their ability to participate in family holiday activities. It's important to be able to recognize holiday depression in your aging loved one and to make sure they feel included in some capacity during this time of year. We have some tips to help you and your family make the holidays joyous for everyone, regardless of their level of ability. The first is create new traditions. If your family traditions involve travel or other activities that would now be too strenuous for an aging loved one, it's a good idea to discuss the possibility of creating new traditions that everyone can participate in. Baking, easy decorating activities, holiday crafts, or having neighbors and friends drop in for small gatherings can be simple and effective ways to bring the holiday spirit to your aging loved one. These types of festivities are also great ways to involve grandchildren. If your family is somewhat scattered, perhaps it's time to change the direction of travel. Instead of aging parents flying or driving to visit their adult children and grandkids, consider bringing the family to your loved ones, or even meeting them halfway at a new destination. If your loved one lives in an assisted living community, check with staff nearby to see if they are hosting any holiday activities. Caregivers also may encourage elders who live in senior housing to participate in on-site activities to alleviate the stress involved in attending family gatherings. Leaving the familiarity of senior housing can be very disorienting for seniors who are living with progressing cognitive decline. Instead, you may arrange for your family to visit or accompany your elder in the facilities events as part of your new holiday tradition. This is also a time to remember together. Many times, it isn't the holiday itself that causes feelings of depression, but rather that the holidays may bring memories of happier times. If this seems to be the case, activities such as watching home movies together or looking through old pictures as a group can be a nice way to remember those times as a family to help alleviate feelings of loneliness in an aging loved one. Reminiscing can be an enjoyable activity for everyone and a valuable way of sharing memories and family history with younger generations. It is critical to help plan ahead. If an elder lives far away or if an in-person visit truly doesn't seem possible this year, make sure you plan ahead to ensure they will not be spending the holidays alone. If your loved one is living on their own, try to see if one of the neighbors might be able to visit with them. This might also be the time to consider hiring in-home care, even if it's only a temporary arrangement. Certain home care companies can also provide aids to safely escort aging adults to celebrations and family gatherings during the holidays. You can look for a professional caregiver who's a good fit for your loved one, both personality-wise and in terms of their training and professional skills. The right caregiver will be able to assist with activities of daily living and provide companionship, activities, and emotional support. Holiday traditions and activities can be adapted in countless ways, and flexibility can help ensure your plans are successful. Regardless of whether you're able to visit with the whole family or you must bring in professional caregivers to ensure your elders aren't spending the holidays alone, the most important thing is for your loved ones to know that you're thinking of them and committed to helping them feel included in the festivities. Next slide, please. This year might also be the time to consider using hybrid technology to connect with loved ones if travel is not possible. It is possible a professional caregiver can assist with the technology piece as well. You can choose video chat platforms that make the most sense for your group. Some options include Zoom. It's popular and easy, but it does limit video calls to 40 minutes. You might consider Skype, which allows up to 50 users to talk for hours, but the quality does go down the more people who join. There are options such as Google Hangouts, but that does cap at 10 participants on a video call. If you are an Apple user, there is the option of using FaceTime. There's also a new platform called House Party. It's a fun video chat app with optional games, but only accommodates 8 users at a time. Some ways to spice up your hybrid meetings might include having a virtual meal sharing. Kick your video chat or happy hour up a notch by turning it into a virtual meal, which is a great substitute for all of those festive holiday dinners we're used to. You can set a pretty table, even if you're by yourself, and make at least 1 or 2 of your favorite holiday dishes. Have everyone set up their phones or laptops so participants can see each other and talk about their meals. Go around and ask everyone to talk about what they're eating and what they're thankful for. If your group is so inclined, you can plan in advance for someone in the group to lead the blessing before the meal. If that's always been your dad's job, we bet he'll cherish the role even more this year. You might consider playing some virtual party games, because who says you can't play Pictionary long distance? There are also online versions of classic games like Scrabble or Monopoly or Clue. The House Party app has built-in games like Heads Up, Trivia, and Quick Draw. Kids might be happy with a few rounds of Hangman. You just make sure everyone has a pencil and paper to play with. You might also have a low-key evening by doing a virtual movie or TV. If your holiday tradition has always been gathering the family around to watch a Christmas classic like It's a Wonderful Life, there's no reason to forego that this year. Teleparty is a Netflix app which allows you to schedule a movie or favorite program, invite others to join in a virtual watch party. They can even leave a running commentary with the app's chat feature. So don't let distance dictate your holiday success. Roll up your sleeves and get connected in new ways. Next slide, please. With planning and clear communication, families can enjoy a festive and successful holiday season. And with that, I will turn it over to Tristan.
Thank you so much, Joellen. There were some great tips and tricks there for involving the entire family. So with that, I want a little bit of audience input here. We're going to use the chat box option. So again, it should be at the bottom of your screen. If you guys want to type into the chat box, what is one of the most stressful parts for you for your holiday season? Is it the preparation, getting all the gifts together, figuring out what you're going to make, decorating for the holidays, planning out meals? Is it managing your kiddos during the holiday season? Go ahead and type into that chat box so we can kind of see your holiday stress. What's your stress level there? I think for me personally, it's probably going to be figuring out what I'm taking to each of the holiday gatherings that I'm going to. I see some chats coming in here. It looks like cooking. Someone else is there with me, that meal prep, scheduling get-togethers for each side of the family. I know that's so difficult. We have to do every other year at one place. Making the kiddos feel included and getting them to eat the foods we prepare for large gatherings. Yes, so much yes. Meals for overnight guests and meals for the events. One person said traveling to everybody's house, especially in Kansas. We don't always know what the weather is going to be like. Combining the normal busy life with December's expectations, all kinds of family dynamics there. Yes, so each of you are in the right place because we're going to talk about ways with the rest of our presentation of how we can work through this. What are some ways that we can reduce our stress level and then set ourselves up for success? So when we're thinking of steps for success for planning our holiday season, one of the first thing, and I know Joellen mentioned it too, is making sure we're forming a plan. Having a plan in place where we are talking with our family members, trying to make a schedule where we're not overlapping all of our events on the same day. With that too, we're also making sure that we have an alternative plan. In today's world, we are still living in the midst of pandemic. We need to have that backup plan in place. So maybe you have first an in-person gathering, but making sure you know that there's a way that you can still connect with your family members in the case that that face-to-face isn't possible. With that too is making sure you're communicating to your family. That is within your larger family and then your individual family yourself. Making sure that you have those communications with your spouse, with any children that you have, and even your youngest children. One of the favorite things to do, especially around the holiday seasons or when you're looking forward to any big event, is engaging your kiddos in that process. One thing you can do is actually have a calendar. You can purchase the calendar if you don't have one, or I know you can print one off for free. Usually Microsoft Word, they have different calendar formats in there, or you can even make one yourself too. And then writing on there, we're going to Grandma Sarah's house on this day, or we're going to go to Grandma Tussie's house on this date. And you can have your child draw a picture there of that house that represents Grandma Tussie or Grandma Sarah. Or you could also put a little sticker on there. Maybe the red stickers mean that you're going to be traveling, and then the green stickers mean that you're going to be celebrating the holiday at someone's house. But engaging them in that planning process is going to help them to set expectations for them, as well as set a routine so they know what's going on. Young children, they really thrive with those routines just as much as us as adults. So we need to make sure that we're including them in on that planning process so they know what to expect and when to expect it. With that too, when we're talking about expectations, if your family is getting together virtually this year, making sure that we have some of those communications and talking with our children as well as our family members. How will we do this virtual format? If we use Google Meet or if we use the Hangout, what can we do? Are we going to be all opening gifts at the same time? Are we going to be sitting down for a nice dinner? What are some ways that we can work through this so we're setting ourselves up for success? Having that conversations beforehand is really going to help you have success in the long run. And of course, making sure that we are flexible. Flexibility around the holidays is key. We always run into snags. Maybe you burnt the pie, maybe you dropped the pie on the way out. Having some flexibility and some understanding of flexibility with our family members as well as ourselves is really going to be helping you complete the whole steps for success. With that, we have some great ways to kind of keep reducing the stress within your own environment. And so one of my favorite things that we can do, especially during the holidays, is having all of our decorations, right? So let's set the stage. We have our Christmas tree, we have all the presents under the tree. You might have other decorations in your house. There's lights everywhere. For your sounds, you're hearing people laughing, maybe some carols or some holiday music like what we jumped in on today. There's smells. All of these different things in our environment can often be overwhelming for someone, especially young children. So when we have those extra noises, we need to think of different ways, or extra sights and senses all around. We need to think of some different ways that we can help to reduce some of that sensory overload, not only for ourselves, but for our youngest learners. So this could be true with young kiddos. I know in our last Stress Less webinar that took place on November 17th, the topic was celebrate self-care through the holidays. And they had some really great ways that you can take care of yourself and make a plan to be stress-free or stress-less during the holidays. And I know we'll drop that into the chat box here. So if you want to go back and watch that recording, you are more than welcome. Some of my favorite things to do with young children during the holidays or even just a busy time is to making sure that they are taking care of themselves. One of those ways is through movement and through deep breathing. And so I have on the screen here a picture of a child engaging in yoga. Yoga is a great way that you can really focus on your breath while adding physical movement or kinesthetic movement to the learning experience. This is something that you can do with young kiddos when they're feeling overwhelmed, as well as just every night before you go to bed or before a nap time routine. You as an adult, this is great for you and for your teens. We have taught this before at a 4-H camp, and all of the students there and the campers loved yoga experience. So it's a great way that you can really reset your mind and take a step back for that breathing process. Along with that is some different breaths. Doing long, deep breaths. Typically, I do 3 deep breaths in a row. There's something called a balloon breath, and this is through conscious discipline, where you breathe all the way in and you hold that breath, and then you blow that breath out. Taking a step back and allowing your children to take deep breaths and then do some mindfulness during this time will be great for helping them to reduce some of those sensory overload processes. Another item that you can add to kind of your toolbox this holiday season is bringing some noise canceling headphones. You might have a young child who the noise overstimulates them, and maybe they just need one thing taken away. So noise breaks playing in a quiet room is also a good alternative to this. In addition, if kiddos seem to get distracted at the table, I know I saw one comment in there saying, trying to get my kids something to eat the meals that we prepare this holiday season. Maybe they're not eating because they're overwhelmed with all that is going on. So maybe place them at the dinner table, turning away from the gifts or away from all the Christmas decor or holiday decor, that can help them to take one distraction away. And don't forget, it is always okay that your child has a snack or doesn't eat together as a family with you. They can choose to eat if they are hungry, and that is something that is going on with them. They can eat before, maybe with some of the other younger children, and then join you back in for the dessert. Making sure that we are trying to be mindful of our kiddos and their routines during this holiday season is going to be important. Sometimes 1 p.m. is too late for their tummies and they get very hungry. Another fun thing that we can do to make sure that our entire holiday season is a little bit more inclusive is getting out and moving. Using some time to take family walks or some exercises can really help to de-stress our entire body and our mood. One of the fun things that I love to do during the holiday season is utilizing that leftover wrapping paper and tissue paper. One fun game that I always try to get all the kids and teens involved in is a snowball toss. So this is going to be where you take your leftover wrapping paper and you break out into 2 teams and you put a little divider in the middle. This could be a wrapped up blanket. It could be a few pillows across the room. And then you have so much fun because you take all of that wrapping paper, crumple it together in little balls, and try to toss it over to see who can have the most snowballs on their side and who can have the least. So just a fun game to encourage physical activity and movement to break up that stress that they might be feeling. When we're thinking through the family resilience, we have to think through this past year and a half. Sometimes there might be, and I'm sure there's many on the call today, whose children have not met their relatives yet, or maybe they haven't seen them in a while and haven't been able to recognize their face. So this is going to be something to keep in mind as we begin to go into that holiday season is how can we encourage our children to know who they're meeting? So maybe it's looking through your past pictures that you have with them and saying, yeah, this is Myrna. Do you remember Aunt Myrna? Yes, she's going to be at Grandma Sarah's this weekend. I'm so excited to see here on our calendar where we have the green dot, we're going to see Aunt Myrna there. So talking through different ways with your children in order to prepare them for who they might be meeting. In addition, when we're thinking through children's reactions, it might be common and it's okay for them if they meet a family member and they're not feeling up to giving that family member a hug at the moment. Again, we're respecting that child's boundaries and stating maybe they don't remember this individual, maybe they don't know this family member. What's something else that they can do in order to say hello and that we're encouraging them to be friendly, but in a way that's comfortable for their own body and their own preference. That could be a friendly hello, a wave. Maybe it's a fist bump. Maybe it is a high five. And maybe they want to say hello later. That's okay too. Again, when we're thinking through our young children in ways that's making it appropriate for them to say hello, we have to think about what's going to be best for that child, especially in a year where it's been a little bit different and how we've interacted with our family members. So as we wrap up today, talking about building family resilience, we want to be, again, making sure we're accepting of those circumstances and getting creative to maximize that seasonal enjoyment. We don't always know what's going to happen with our plans that we have. So using some of that flexibility and acceptance of where we are at. In addition, number 2 is being purposeful about how you're spending your time and your energy. Are we there to make everything beautiful and take in the Christmas season? What do we want to do? Do we want to have fun, make a snowball toss, go crazy with it? Being mindful and purposeful about how we are interacting with one another. And then again, assessing our thoughts and actions regularly. Remembering that not everybody is going to have that same opinions, but the space can be made to include everybody this holiday season. We are here as a family, and we are going to be here to celebrate that, to be mindful how we're going to engage one another and how we're going to celebrate this holiday season. So with that, Joellen, do you have any final thoughts for today?
No, I think we have the opportunity to open it up for questions. Thank you.
So we'll see. Thank you again for presenting. That's a lot of great and useful information, especially now with the holiday season coming up. Jennifer and Melody, are there any questions for our presenters?
No, I do not see any.
Okay. So Kristen, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. here are our presenters' information. So feel free to get in contact with them if you have any questions or if you're looking for any additional resources. Again, a lot of these tips are really helpful, especially when we are combining families. And just like Tristan said, a lot of kiddos haven't met some of the family members now within the last almost really 2 years. So having different methods for them to be able to have a relaxed holiday and also enjoy it at the same time, I think will make everything better for everyone. So Tristan, if you want to move to the next slide. So again, we really do want to thank you for joining our presentation, and we do encourage you all to complete our survey. You can use the QR code on the screen, or we will be sending the link out right after the presentation. Survey link will also be available on our Living Well website, so feel free to provide any comments or suggestions that you have or any programs that you would like to see from us. We do hope that you will join us in the 2022 for our series. So as you can see on the first flyer, on January 12th, the Director of Safe and Secure Schools, John Calvert, will kick off our series, and he will be presenting a parent's guide to social media. Some of you who joined us in the spring with our Living Well Together series might have already seen John's Calvert's presentation, but it was very impactful, what the information that he provided. And essentially what he'll go over is dangerous social media apps that we need to be aware of on our kiddos' phones, especially because a lot of our kiddos will be getting technology for Christmas. So please be sure to join that presentation, because he'll be providing quite a bit of social media apps that we need to be aware of. And lastly, if you would like more information, you saw Tristan and Joellen's information, but please feel free to reach out to your agent. If you're not sure where your local office is, you are able to find it by just going to ksre.kstate.edu, and you will be able to hover over the county map and then find the location for your local office. And with that, that is all that we have for you today. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to us. Other than that, we really do hope that you have a good day.
We do have a question in the chat, and
Perfect.
if that we can address that. What is a good way to inform family that you don't want to host a gathering?
I see that question, and yes, that is a very hard topic, isn't it? Hosting a family gathering is a big commitment. You have a lot on your plate to do and a lot of things in order to make that successful. I would first start with communication with that family member. Maybe it's talking to your parents or grandparents, or maybe it is talking to some siblings that you have. Just talking with your family and saying, hey, right now it's a hard time. Is there any way that we can hold a family gathering at so-and-so's house? Or is anybody willing to host this year? I know one thing several families have found success with is actually alternating where the gathering is going to be hosted. So maybe one has a Thanksgiving and maybe one would have the Christmas celebration. Kind of going through different places or different families to host is going to take the burden off of one individual. Joellen, do you have anything to add to that or any other suggestions?
I think that's a fantastic answer, Tristan. Thank you. My thought would be, if you have some reasons behind that, similar to what Tristan mentioned, it's okay to make a list and approach your family and say, I've thought a lot about this, and here's some of the reasons or barriers that are make it very difficult for me to host this year. If you can't go to another place, can you get together on a different platform, or agree that we're going to have a 1 hour hybrid virtual, and this is what we're going to do instead, because it is so much less stressful. But just know that any way that you decide to have that communication with your family is okay. But just to be clear and concise, and maybe offer an alternate plan.
And we do have another question as well. How do we handle when trust is broken between family members?
Again, that's another difficult question too. I think trust has to be rebuilt. But again, at first, it's going to have to start with some communication. First, solving maybe that initial conflict or that initial barrier to why the trust was broken to begin with. It would be having a conversation and maybe having a private conversation with one of those family members and saying, this is how I am feeling. I want to be able to move here, move past that. But first, I want to let you know that I am feeling this way because they may not know. And so having that conversation with that family member first in order to move past that and move to a place or a spot where you can build your relationship up again.
Absolutely. I think when we talk about rebuilding trust, you have to be very clear about your boundaries and what your expectations are for moving into this season particularly, and then beyond. It's okay to outline when and where and how you would like to interact to start building some of those. And if there needs to be some topics of discussion that are off the table, that's okay too. You just have to be comfortable clearly communicating your expectations of what happens during those interactive times.
I see Rachel responded back on the chat as well about another option when you're talking about maybe hosting a family or not hosting a family gathering. It could be see if you can rent a local event space instead of having it at somebody's home. We actually do this for one of my family gatherings. We have it at a local community center, and it takes so much stress off of my grandparents. We have found it to be very successful. All of us as family, we chip in just a little bit in order to rent that event space, and then we can all be there and hang out and not have to have that worry about preparing the home so it's clean, and looking all nice and fun. As well as cleaning it up when we're done. We just do the minimal cleanups that's required from the event space and then are able to go home after. Great idea, Rachel.
And we did have a really good question also in the chat about how do you register for the 2022 series? And Sherilyn went ahead and put it in the chat box. You are able to register for the 2022. It's so hard to think that we're already moving into the next year, but yes, for the next year series, we will be sending out the registration link to everyone that for our soft launch. You'll receive that registration via email as well, but for the most part, you'll be able to find that registration once it opens on our website. And again, all the past and future recordings of any programs that we do for the series will be posted on there as well. So you'll be able to look back on other programs and additional resources.
Yes, make sure to check out those additional resources. I saw several from the last Living Well Wednesday series, and they actually had YouTube links of different mindfulness and breathing exercises. Then I know from today, there's a few additional links about some educational pieces. So maybe if we need to have those present whenever you send one to a family member, those resources are there for you, as well as some breathing exercises that you can download and have yourself. So those are also additional resources from today.
And thank you, Rachel, for putting our website on there as well. Are there any more questions? All right, I don't think we have any more coming in. So again, thank you, everyone. We really do appreciate you joining us, and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.